Hello students, welcome to Python online classes. Today I am going to start about the second unit concepts. In the second unit, what are the concepts we have? The mainly object oriented programming concept. Object oriented programming concepts, nothing but OOPS concepts. Okay, already in the C++ you have learned about the OOPS concept. Same concepts in Python programming language also it can support, because of Python two-way programming language, nothing but web style programming language. It can support C style programming, nothing but structured programming language also it can support, as well as object oriented programming language also it can support by the Python programming itself. Okay, now till now we have learned every syntax based on C style only, based on C style. So now we came into the second unit to learn about the object oriented programming concepts. So first we have to know about the what is the difference between procedural oriented programming and what is object oriented programming. So now first we have to know about all these two things. What is procedural oriented programming? Why we need the procedural oriented programming? Okay, after that, what is object oriented programming? Why we have to use the object oriented programming concepts. So in Python, which is the better portion to learn? So now we can understand right now. Now let us start our session. Okay. So this is second unit. The second unit contain what are the concepts? Now we have to see the syllabus first of all. Object oriented programming concept. In that procedural and object oriented programming concepts we have to see right now. What is the procedural oriented programming and what is the object oriented programming? So the difference what we have in this class, I would like to explain about this procedural and object oriented programming concepts. Okay, right. There are several approaches to do programming. If you want to do any programming, compulsory, there are several approaches available in the market. In that the two most important programming languages are procedural oriented programming approach and also object oriented programming approach. Here actually in the market there are several approaches we have to do the programming. There are number of programming languages we have now. So some programming languages call it structured level programming, some also functional oriented programming, some procedural oriented programming, some aspect oriented programming. Now object oriented programming is also there. So in that the mainly regularly used programming languages are these two things. What are they? First one is procedural oriented programming and second one is object oriented programming. So now first we have to understood about the procedural oriented programming concept. So procedural oriented programming is also called structured programming, structured oriented programming, because of it should have maintain internally structured based, nothing but whatever the syntaxes we are using in the C programming language, so that all those programming languages syntaxes the procedural oriented programming language also it can support. Okay, so C is also one of the structure oriented programming, so that's why C programming language is also called procedural oriented programming, because of all C styles, all C type syntaxes it can support by the procedural oriented programming. You please concentrate on here only Python programming language. Python two-way programming language, nothing but it can support versatile support. It will give the support in the versatile way. Versatile means as well as C styles also it can support, as well as object oriented programming concepts also it can support. In the C style, what are the operations we have to do? Because of it is a structured programming language. It is a C programming language is a structured programming language. So that C type styles also it can support by the Python software. So that's why Python is also called procedural oriented programming as well as structured oriented programming. Like that, Python it can support object oriented programming also. So that's why it is called versatile. two types of programming languages concepts. The Python programming language, it can support by itself. Okay, so that is the functionality of Python programming language. So now we have to understood about the procedural oriented programming. In the procedural oriented programming, it is used for general purpose programming only. Actually, in the normal programs, if you want to develop, for that the general programs, if you want to develop, we can use the procedural oriented programming. So in that, we no need to take the objects, and we no need to create the instances, we no need to create any classes. So if you don't want to create all those things, then procedural oriented programming is enough. Procedural oriented programming is enough. But if you want to use classes and objects and also methods and also data members, and if you want to provide any security for that, if you want to provide any security for any programs for your application, if you want to get the security, object oriented programming is the better choice to do that develop of the programs. And compared to procedural oriented programming, compared to object oriented programming, procedural oriented programming is not supported by the security. It will not provide for the protection for our data. Okay, so that is the main concept. Procedure, actually here the major concept is what? Security, protection, security, protection. So these, if you, for example, if your data does not contain any security, then the data will see, the data see by the some other persons. So that's why procedural oriented programming is not supporting by the security for the data purpose. Okay, but whereas used to the object oriented programming. So in the object oriented programming, it can provide the security for each and every object. One person data you can't see the, I mean one object data you can't one object data. What is the data we have for the one object? So that object data does not see the some other objects, outside objects. Okay, outside objects. So that is the providing security by the object oriented programming. And now we have to see practically this one. Procedural oriented programming is also called structure oriented programming, and it is used for general purpose programming. A large program can be divided into subparts or called procedures. Actually, in the procedural oriented programming, if you create, in the procedural oriented programming, for example, if you have 100 lines of code, that 100 lines of code, I mean, a large program can be divided into subparts or called procedures. For example, in your program, if you have 1000 lines of code, now I am opening Paint. This is procedural oriented programming. Procedural oriented programming. This is the bank project. In the bank project, whatever the operations we have to do, deposit, for the deposit purpose, 100 lines of code we have. Okay, 100 lines of code we have. And for the withdrawal purpose, 100 lines of code you have. And calculation purpose, 100 lines of code you have. So like that, balance inquiry purpose, 100 lines of code you have. So like that, internet banking purpose, 100 lines of code you have. So 100, I mean here 100, here 200, 3, 4, 5. So now the bank project contains 500 lines of code. So if you want to see that 100 lines of code, it is very critical to understand by the programmer. So while developing time, there is no problem. While developing time, there is no problem for that programmer. If the programmer went to some other job, then a new programmer will come into that project to do the programming purpose. So while when the project is open to see the code, so here 500 lines of code it has. So how he can understood about this entire code? So that's why, so this is for understanding purpose, it is a very critical process, because of there is there is a critical 100 lines of 500 lines of code you have. In that 500 lines of code, how you can understand where it, what is the code you have, what functionality is going on inside. So you cannot understood by the, as a programmer, we cannot understood this 500 lines of code. So that's why the 500 lines of code I want to divide into a subparts. So that subparts I want to divide a subparts. So the each and every subpart I can store into the, I can write this 100 lines into the deposit function. So here 500 lines of code we have. So now I want to divide the 500 lines of code into a small pieces, and after that small pieces I want to place in some related functions. So for that I want to create functions. Here this is deposit function. This is deposit function. In that 100 lines of code I can separate it. So like that withdrawal purpose also 100 lines of code I can separate in withdrawal function. And next one, calculation purpose 100 lines of code I can separate in calculation function. Right? And for the balance inquiry purpose 100 lines of code. Here I am separating the code, and that dividing the code into small pieces. So each and every piece I can store into a function. Balance inquiry. Okay, balance inquiry function. Now finally, internet banking function, right? So here 100 lines of code. So like that I have divided these all functions. These 500 lines of code I have divided into a small pieces. That small pieces I can store into using the functions. Okay, write that. So in the deposit function I want to write about the deposit functionality, and in the withdrawal function I want to write the withdrawal functionality. So here what are the options we are using in the procedural oriented programming? We are using functions only. Procedural oriented programming. In the procedural oriented programming, here we have used the functions only. We have used functions, right? So that's why it is called here the 500 lines of code I want to divide into some small modules now. So each and every module I can store into a function. Here module is nothing but a function. In the procedural oriented programming is also a procedure is also called as a function. So here we are using the functions. Here we are using the functions to access the data elements. Now that's why it is called procedural oriented programming, right? So here the procedure also known as functions. For example, if you have to declare the global variable and also create 3 procedures. and also create 3 procedures. Now I am removing this diagram. Again I want to create one more diagram for your understanding purpose, and now I want to create the global variable. Now I want to create the global variable. X is the variable, x equal to 10. So this is called global variable. And actually, what is the definition of global variable? So if you want to declare any variable outside of the function, so that is called global variable. Whatever the space we have outside of the function, whatever the space we have outside of the function, that space is called global section. So in the global section, whatever the variables we have declared, that variables available for each and every function. That variable is available each and every function. Here the data is what? X equal to 10. So this is X is the data variable and 10 is the data, right? So this is data X equal to 10. This is the global variable. Here the data is X equal to 10. Now I want to access function 1, function 2, function 3. Now I want to create 3 functions here. 3 functions here. Function 1 and here function 2 and here function 3, right? 3 functions I have created. So these 3 functions actually inside of the variable, if the function inside of the variable, whatever the variable if you want to declare, that function, it is completely related to local variable. So in the function 1, I want to declare y variable. In the function 1, I want to declare y variable. This y variable is called local variable. Local variable. Because of, so this y variable is available only in this box. Function 1, it can be used internally y variable. After execution of function 1, y variable will destroy by itself. Okay. Because of this is the local variable, the y variable lifetime is available only within the function 1 only. So if you want to access that y variable by, the function 2, then it is not a scope, it is not a chance to access, because of function 1 variable is, y variable is related to only function 1. Function 2 does not contain any chance to access y variable. Because of that y variable is available at function 1, you are trying to access from the function 2, right? Like that function 3 is also not accessed by the y variable. Okay, like that y variable is not accessed by the function 3. And but if you declare the x variable outside of the functions, so that's why this lifetime is available for each and every function. So now if you want to access function 1, then you can obviously access, no problem. And like that, if you want to access through the function 2, then you can access, no problem, right? And if you want to access from the function 3, then you can access, no problem. So x variable lifetime is available for each and every function. Because of that is available in the global section. So that's why it is called global variable. But y variable is completely related to local variable. It is available, that lifetime is available only for the function 1 purpose, right? So here x variable contain data, 10 is the data. So this data is traveling from all functions. So here there is no security for the global data. There is no security for the global data. So if you want to provide that global data security, then compulsory you must have to use the object oriented programming. So in that, object wise you can access. Object wise you can access the data members, right? Here you can access all the functions. Here you can access the global variable by the all functions. So there is no security. So if it is a bank account, then from the function 1, from the function 2, from the function 3, you can access by the bank account. Then you haven't any security for your bank account now. So in that case, you are, as a user, you can't prefer by that bank. Because of that, in that bank you don't have any security. Okay, if you don't have any security in any bank, then you can't deposit any amount in that unsecurable bank account. Am I correct or not? Insecurable bank account, you cannot deposit anything. So functional oriented programming is only user for general purpose programming. If you don't want any security, in that case you can use the procedural oriented programming, right? Now in the above diagram, x variable is the global variable. So that's why whatever the procedures we have created, those all procedures directly accessing x variable. That means in procedural oriented programming is not supporting for data security. So that's why, so that object oriented programming was introduced. So some of the examples of procedural oriented programmings. Fortran is one of the procedural oriented programming. Algol is also one of the procedural oriented programming. COBOL is also one of the procedure oriented programming. And BASIC is also one of the procedural oriented programming. Pascal is also one of the procedural oriented programming. And nowadays C is also procedural oriented program, because of C programs contain what? Data members as well as functions. If you want to access any data members through the functions, you need to access. You have a chance to access through the functions only. So that's why C programming language is also procedural oriented programming, right? And Python is also procedural oriented programming, and also object oriented programming concepts also can support by the Python programming language. So now you have understood about the procedural oriented programming now. And next we have to see about the object oriented programming. So whereas carefully observe on the selected test, then only you will get correct awareness on the what is the difference between for procedural oriented programming and also object oriented programming. Whereas procedural programming is centered on creating procedures. Nothing but in the procedural oriented programming, all of you concentrated on only creating the functions. So if you create the functions and data members, that is completely related to procedural oriented programming, okay? And whereas coming to the object oriented programming, nothing but in the short form of OOP, object oriented programming, first letters, is centered on creating objects. In the procedural oriented programming, all the programmers concentrated on creating the functions only. But in the object oriented programming, all programmers concentrating on creating the objects only, right? To create the objects. So an object is a software entity. Actually, what is the object? What is an object? An object is a real world entity. An object is a real world entity. So in the real world objects are pen is also one of the object, chair is also one of the object, book is also one of the object, person is also one of the object, student is also one of the object. So like that, a table is also one of the object. In the real world, whatever the things we are using, that all things completely comes under the objects, because of in the real world everything we can treat as an object. Water is also one of the object, and fan is also one of the object, building is also one of the object, computer is also one of the object, mouse is also one of the object, pen drive is also one of the object, right? We can use like that. So in the real world, everything, whatever the things we are using in the regularly, whatever the things we are looking on the real world society, so each and everything is also called as a object, right? So an object is a software entity that contains both data members and procedures. In the C program, in the procedure oriented programming, data members, functions we are using. But an object is a software entity that contains both data members and procedures. But whereas coming to the object oriented programming, for the object purpose, for the single object purpose, each and every copy it has maintained. Nothing but if you create data attributes, data variables and also procedures, nothing but a functions. If you create variables and functions, that is, and after that you need to create one object, and each and every object contain a separate copy of data attributes and procedures. It should maintain internally, right? It should maintain internally. For example, developer C++ window I am opening. Developer C++ window I am opening. Yeah, it has opened. Now control N to open a new window. Here, now I want to create the procedural, global data variable procedural. I am giving procedural oriented programming demo, right? Here hash include stdio.h, and here int x equal to 10. Int x equal to 10. Int x equal to, sorry, now I am closing this one because of as related to Python I would like to explain. Notepad I am opening. Here now I want to create the x is the global variable, x equal to 10. So now I want to create one function, definition function 1 and colon symbol. So now I want to print the x variable. Now I want to print the x variable, x equal to %d, x equal to %d, comma percentile of comma x. Okay, so now I want to call the function 1, and now I am saving this file. P procedural oriented program na p.py, save as type is all files. Now I want to open the console window. Here cd desktop, because of our file is available on the desktop location, so that's why by using cd command I need to change the location from Siva to desktop, right? Now I am executing p.py. So it is showing x %d 10. Wait, why it is showing like that? So x %d. So if you want to use then percentile operator, here you can use like that. Now I can see. So it is showing error. Why? Right, comma not required here. I think instead of comma we can use like that. Yeah, right, CLS. Now I want to execute p.py. So carefully observe, here x is the 10. The output it is showing now. So carefully observe on the screen. Here I have created one function. Here I have created one global variable. Okay. So this function is one is also, actually the global variable scope is available outside of the function now. So this x variable lifetime is available for this function only. And again I want to create one more function. So function 2 I am creating. Now I am printing print x equal to %d. Now I am closing. Again percentile x variable I am accessing through, from the function 2 I want to access x variable. So these two functions accessing global variable na. So here there is no security na. For the global data, whatever the global data you have, for the global data you don't have any security, right? You don't have any security. So now I am calling this second function also. So x equal to 10, x equal to 10. So these two functions accessing by the x variable. Because of that is available in the outside of the function. So x variable lifetime is available. X variable lifetime is available during the entire program execution. Nothing but each and every function directly it can access by the x variable. Okay. So here x variable does not contain any protection, nothing but a security does not contain. So that's why this is called procedural oriented programming. So whereas if you want to provide the security for any data, so for that procedural oriented programming is not suitable. Okay. So in that case we can use the object oriented programming. So now in the object oriented programming, for example, in the object oriented programming, now I am creating the class. I am creating the car class. Okay. Now I am creating the car class. Here variables I am creating. Car class I am created. Here variables I am creating. Car name, ID, car ID and car name. Okay, these two variables I have created. So after that I want to create an instance of this class. So C is the instance. Now I want to create the object. So here I am creating the instance. Okay, by using car constructor. So class name and this constructor name should be same. Constructor means with the class name one bracket we are using, one parenthesis bracket we have to use. So this is called car class constructor. Okay, and car class constructor name and also class name should be same. So here C is the object of car class. So now I want to access these two members, data members. C dot ID equal to 101. Okay. Next C dot name equal to RD. RD is the car name, right? So like that, if you want to access these data members and also functions compulsory through the object name, you need to access. You have a chance to access. And if you want to create one more object, nothing but D, right? Nothing but D is the object. Now I am creating one more object for the car class. So that is called D is the instance. So D dot ID equal to 102. D dot name equal to Maruti, right? So if you create like that, so this is one more data. We are accessing object wise. So C is one object, D is one object. Now I am accessing these two members by different data. Okay, so this object data does not see by the D object. C object data does not see by the D object, and D object data does not see by the C object. So here providing the security because of you are accessing the data through the objects only. Understood? So like that you need to access. So that's why object oriented programming is also a better programming to provide the security for any data, right? And object data attributes are simply variables. And object data members, here the data members are what? ID and name. These two are variables. And also call it data members and also call it data attributes, right? The procedures that an object performs are known as methods. The procedures. Here also if you want to create any method you can create, no problem. Okay. And now I am creating the display function, right? Display function. Now I am creating the display function. So here printf id equal to %d and new line character, because of it will break the line and the name will come into the second line. and name equal to percentile s, and after that percentile here id comma name, so if you use that, and here I want to call that method also, I want to call that procedure c dot display. Okay, c dot display I want to call. When you write this method, immediately the control will comes to the this display function is available or not in this class. It will check if the display function is available, whatever the data variables we have passed, that will assign to the id, and it will assign to the id name with the name. So then in the display function it will process. Here we are calling this c object na, c object data it will print by using display function. If you call through the d method, d object d dot display, then d related data it will print. D related data is what here 1 or 2 Maruti. So the D related data it will print like that. Okay. So this is the creation of objects and creation of methods, right? The objects conceptually a self-contained unit because of, carefully observe here, C object I have created na, C contain ID and C contain name. So it is also work like a container because of it is holding the ID attribute, name attribute and display method also. It is holding the class members. What are the class members we have here? ID is also one of the class member, name is also one of the class member, and display method is also one of the class member, right? These three options handling by the object na, so that's why it is self-related. I mean conceptually it is also one of the container. And OOP addresses that problem of code and data separation through encapsulation and data binding. Carefully observe here. OOP addresses the problem of code and data separation through encapsulation and data binding. What is the meaning of encapsulation? Encapsulation refers to the combining of data and code into a single object. Carefully observe. Encapsulation refers to the combining of data and code into a single object. Carefully observe. Encapsulation means if you create the C instance, through C instance you are calling ID, you are accessing ID now. So here this is variable and this is data. This is variable, this is data, this is method. Right? It is combining now the data members, here the class members and the data. It is combining into a single unit while accessing time. Right? So C is a work like a container. What is the data we have passed? 101 is the data, RD is the data we are passing. So these two values data here as combining with that class level variables, ID, name. Okay. So that means it is called encapsulation. Encapsulation is nothing but it is what is the data and also code into a single object. It can combine like that. Data hiding means data hiding refers to an object's ability to hide its data attributes from code that is outside the object. For example, here I have created C object and also D object. Two objects I have created, and while accessing C object, C dot ID is 101, C dot name equal to RD, and C dot display of method is the procedure. So this C object data providing when you accessing the C object data, D object data is not visible to the user, and D object data it is not look the C object data. So if it is accessing one object, the second object is hiding, right? And if it is accessing second object, the first object is also hiding. So that means first, data hiding refers to an object's ability to hide its data attributes from code and that is outside the object. While printing time, carefully observe. While printing time, now I want to call the C.display method, ID equal to ID and name equal to name. So while printing time, these attributes are hidden by that data hiding process, right? So from one object to another object, the attributes are hidden process. The attributes are doing hidden game. Okay. right? For example, now I am removing id equal to here percentage nf, name is also I am removing. So here percentage d, first it will collect the id. What is the C object data I want to print? So here 101, first it will take by the id and odd it will take by the name. While printing time, id 101 and name it will print. So while printing time, attributes are hidden now. Attributes are hidden like that. So I would like to explain briefly in the objects creation, methods calling. So whatever the options we have, that options I will explain in the next classes briefly, okay, practically. So now you have to concentrate on theory points. Here each and every object, the object one data contain data variables, methods. The object is also contain data variables and methods. So from one object to another object, it is providing the security. Object one does not have a chance, object one do not have a chance to see the object two data. So object two data, whatever the data you have for the object two, that data, that object one, it cannot see, right? So now Python OOPS concepts. Python OOPS concepts. Python OOPS concept, an object-oriented paradigm to design the program. Python is also object-oriented language since its beginning. It allows us to develop applications using object-oriented approach. Using object-oriented approach. An object-oriented paradigm to design the program using classes and objects. The object is related to real-world entities such as book, house, okay. Classes and objects. The object is a real-world entity such as book, house, pencil, etc. The OOPS concepts on writing the reusable code, and it is a widespread technique to solve a problem creating objects. So actually in the object-oriented programming, we have to follow some concepts. We have to follow some concepts. What are the major principles of object-oriented programming systems are given? Class, object, method, inheritance, polymorphism, data abstraction, encapsulation. Encapsulation. So these 7 are OOPS concepts: class, object, method, inheritance, polymorphism, data abstraction, encapsulation. Right? In the next classes, I would like to explain briefly about all those things. Okay? Right.